Hello, awesome people. I hope you're having a great day today. Today I'm taking a look at the next book that I just knocked out over my Hawaiian vacation for you folks. This is Octavia E. Butler's Dawn for you folks. It's about 300 pages long. It's an oversized collection, so I figured it would take me a little longer for me to read it. It's actually, since it's it's a little oversized and so forth, I'll link you to it in the comments below. It was initially published in 1987. A long time ago, just shortly after her two award-winning in the 85 and 86, a short story that won the Hugo, and then a novelette in the 86 year, won the Hugo and the Nebula, and so forth, and definitely those sorts of things put her on the map in a major way. She has like 12 novels or so forth. If you recall from my Silmarillion conversation last time, I had taken that to my week-long vacation in Hawaii over spring break for you folks. And I knocked out and I was flying through LAX from Baltimore, and then from LAX to Hawaii. So that was what was happening, and dividing it up into even 6 hours from one way to the other, and then back again. And I figured that the Silmarillion, which is a big, giant, thick tome that everybody talks about how historical it is and so forth, but I always wanted to read it. It would take me a while, and then I knocked out 100 pages there, and 135 more pages when I arrived at Hawaii. So when I was in LAX, I picked up this novel, since it was in the sci-fi and fantasy section of which was pretty small, at this airport library right there by my gate, so that way I could pick this up as a backup. I started reading this about 50 pages on Friday before I flew out on Saturday, and then I finished it on Saturday, knocked it out. The last 250 pages roughly. It's actually more like 280 pages and so forth, because it's got some commentary about the author, the next book, an excerpt of the first chapter, that sort of thing. So that's what's happening. So this is the first book in a trilogy. It's called the Lilith Brood, and so forth. I just picked up the second book for you folks. I was talking to one of my friends, and he said, and I texted him and said that I picked up a book as a backup because I knocked out so much of the Silmarillion. I know it was going to be my only book in vacation in Hawaii. And he said, "What did you pick up?" And I texted him this because he reads a lot of science fiction and fantasy too. And he said, "I read that. I gave it a 3 out of 10, or 3 out of 5. Sorry." He said it has good ideas, but he just wasn't involved in the writing and so forth. That was his thoughts and so forth. And I can get where he says that, but somebody's actually, read some Octavia about Butler at various times. I read a couple of her short stories. Also read her Earthseed duo trilogies that are all named Parable of the Blank, Parable of the Silver, Parable of the Chalice, and so forth, that are sort of in a post-apocalyptic that was written in the 90s, in like 2020, and so forth. And she predicted a lot of what happens and so forth. And I think a lot of people have really gone back and saying, well, here, look, that duo of a dystopian novel definitely feels very relevant, like sort of like a modern classic and so forth. And that was very, very strong. If you recall, a couple of years ago, I read it for this channel and so forth, and they were some of my favorite novels that I read that year, although all my novels are older. As a reminder, this channel is titled "The Worst Thing About New Books." It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about new books was that they kept us from reading the old ones, right? So 1987 novel. This is a republication of it, which I'll link you to in the comments below. I like the entire trilogy, in case you just want to knock it out, and so forth. Is definitely something that I definitely enjoyed knocking out and going back and rereading, right? And so forth. So that's where the key parts of this channel come from, right? And that's where the passion of this channel comes from. And I read science fiction, fantasy, and horror too, by the by, for you folks. So that's I think this has some great ideas. This is basically, and this is also sort of post-apocalyptic. I think it's probably set contemporarily and initially with the world building in 1987, when it's set because there's USSR and the USA who have had nuclear war that just happened out of nowhere that nobody was expecting, and so forth, and it destroys the world. And now our main character wakes up in the first chapter somewhere. She doesn't know where. People are talking to her over the intercom, or in speakers or something like that. She can't see them, and so forth. And very soon she'll find out what actually happened with her world, what happened with her family, what happened with the folks, and so forth. So that's sort of the setting, if you will, of Lilith Brood's first novel for you folks. It's called Dawn. So there you are. This is divided in 4 parts, and there are small chapters, so it doesn't take me that long. Although she can be a denser writer at times, some of her words a little bigger and so forth. But she's very, very brisk as a writer, and she never doesn't take that long, page-wise. So I appreciate that too. She's not a chore to read, if you will, and so forth. And so I think she's nice. I do agree with my friend. I think there are some nice things here, and so forth. Some good ideas that's happening with the storyline, and so forth. But then, for example, this is a more mature book for you folks. For example, it has some sex scenes in it, and so forth. The sex scenes serve that purpose. They're not just there just to build the novel and the story and the characters, right? They're not just there for, oh, sex, yay! This is a mature novel, right? They actually contribute to the plot, what's happening, which I appreciate for you folks. Just as a heads up, and I would say this is probably a more mature novel, probably closer for adults and so forth. Just as a heads up, I don't. So that's what's happening there. I did like this. I'm probably giving this like a 7 out of 10. All for you folks. I didn't like it as much as Parable of the Sower or Parable of Talents, but I did like it. I did enjoy it. You can definitely see her talent here. That she won, a couple of Hugos already by the time she wrote this rather. In 87. So there's my thoughts on Dawn for you folks by Octavia E. Butler for you folks. Have you read this? If so, what'd you think about it? Let's talk about the comments below. If you enjoyed this, why not hit that subscribe button? There'll be a lot more to follow. And if you're feeling frisky, you can hit that bell icon too to be known of when I post my 3 videos, or even share this to your friends. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. Finally, I just want to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing in watching my video, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives. And we're pulled in so many different records. The fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling. And I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have a great day.